welcome to our first of two new member Zooms in June. And this is a twice a month meeting where we get together. It's very flexible and fluid. Every time's a little different depending on who comes. And the objective is to answer your questions in real time, face to face. Zoom allows us to screen share, and hopefully we can, if you're struggling with a particular profile thing, that hopefully we can help you sort that out. I remember how that was when I was new to WikiTree. It was overwhelming with wiki code, and just things are done a particular way on WikiTree, and it takes a little while to get used to it. And so we want to provide that help for you. So I've been on WikiTree for about 5 years, and it has become a home away from home. I guess you'd say my virtual home. I spend hours a day thinking about WikiTree, being on WikiTree. It's been a wonderful community to become a part of. My own research interests are, I have a lot of ancestry in Great Britain, and then also in Canada, and so those are the projects that I'm in the United States. So those are the areas where I'm most actively researching. Murray has been with us just about since the beginning as a co-host. We're so glad. Murray, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, folks. I'm Murray Maloney. I'm a retired writer, and I do some writing here on WikiTree, helping out Ian Bacall's team on the WikiTree browser extension, and I also occasionally help Greg Clark doing the documentation on some of his tree tools. And I met Betsy, I guess, about a little over 3 years ago. And she invited me to this session, and it turns out that I'm able to be helpful in some ways and just guiding people. And the first 3 years that I spent on WikiTree were really hard. So I just want to say that, I have a background in computer software and in technical writing. So, I may not be a genius, but I'm a fairly smart guy, and I found it really hard to come onto WikiTree. So I expect that almost everybody's going to find it hard to come to WikiTree when you've come from, maybe Ancestry or other tools that you might have used to work on your genealogy. So so we're here to just help you smooth out the path and figure out how you do things, and try and make it easy for you, or easier anyway.
Exactly. So now tonight Murray and I imagine will both be screen sharing at various times. I have disabled my WikiTree browser extension so that especially newer members, where's our new member that we would Philippa? So yes, I'm imagining you don't have the WikiTree browser extension, and that does a lot of wonderful, powerful things, but it's not something maybe that you want to add within your first month of being on WikiTree. So when we look at my screen, we'll see that native view. Murray, when he shares his screen, you'll get to see what the potential is with the WikiTree web.
Right.
I do have WikiTree. I do have it. I just have never been able to really go on it. So I'm not new, just new to whole learning.
Okay, yeah. And the WikiTree browser extension has its own learning curve, and Murray actually, along with some of his programmer peers. Well, Murray, you're not a programmer, you're a technical writer, but they do a once a month session, the fourth Monday of each month, which is called Tech Talk, and it's also on Zoom. And if you want to keep abreast of the latest developments with new apps and technical things on WikiTree, you'll want to check those out. And those also, you can attend them live or you can watch them on YouTube. So, all right. Well, if I could ask everybody to mute, just so that we don't have any extraneous noise. Great. Okay, so Gio, let's get to your questions. Where are you, Gio? I lost you. Oh, there you are. You're right in the center. Okay. So, Gio asked, first question, how do I find my G2G questions and answers? And that's a really good one. I will screen share. Okay. So does everybody see my profile?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, on WikiTree, there are usually several ways to get to where you want to go. So I keep in mind, I'm showing you just the way I usually do it. Maybe Murray has another suggestion. But I go under my menu to my G2G profile. And then I have these menus here, and I can go to recent activity. And then this is a list of all the either I asked the question myself or I contributed an answer to one of these questions.
Oh, gosh, yeah, there it is.
There is a way, yes. Also, once you're in G2G, if you go to this little magnifying arrow and you're looking for something a little more general, there is a standalone search G2G box.
Great.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah. Murray, do you have any wisdom to add on that?
Nope. Well, that's all good.
Okay. All right. So that is a very good question. Let's go back to my profile. Okay, so let's talk about what a watch list is. Gio's last question, next question is, can I add to my watch list a profile that I do not manage? And yes, you can ask to be on the trusted list of a profile. So, and I'll show you how to do that. But I do want to back up and just talk about what is a watch list. So watch list, that is under my WikiTree. This is an alphabetical list. So there's my watch list. And these are all either profiles that I created or where I am on the trusted list. Let me see. If I go, I want to show you an example now. So I'll go back to my profile. And I've been playing connection checkers, which is really a wonderful genealogical exercise. I love it. Now, if I look at my contributions, I can see some of the people I was working on last night. So Henry Cooper, for example, is a profile where there are other profile managers. So what I can do is you can go to, now this happens to be an open profile. So in a sense, you know, if you've signed the honor code, you're allowed to make changes to an open profile. Now, I will say this, if you're going to make some kind of relationship change, either connection or disconnection, it really is, you know, best practice to reach out to the profile managers using these icons here for send a message and just say, this is what I'd like to do, and here's the source that I have to back it up. And so that is important. But what joining, say if I wanted to join Henry's, be on his trusted list, then I would get notifications when there's a change to his profile. And so if I'm deeply interested in his profile, then that's a good thing.
So if you need to go to somebody's profile and you know what their ID is, this is where you go type it in and you hit search and it takes you there.
Yeah.
So now if we scan down all the way, we'll get to here and it says that, because I signed the honor code, I'm allowed to edit this profile. But for merging, you can request to join the trusted list. Well, there's lots of reasons to join the trusted list. And one of the big reasons is you just want to keep an eye on this profile, right? You want to know when somebody's going to change it or whatever. Maybe it's one of your great grandparents and
Exactly.
you just want to know. Sorry, what's that, George?
No, just said exactly. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah. So so you can ask to join the trusted list if it's one of your ancestors, and typically people are going to say, okay, that's fine. If you're really a new user, like you've only been on for a month or two, and some of the older members might say, well, why don't we come back to that in a while? Why don't you prove yourself and make sure that we're not going to let you into the trusted list and you don't deserve it. So if you get shunned by somebody, don't be surprised, but it usually doesn't happen too much. So that's one way. So down here where it says Cooper Family Collaboration. Now the other way that Betsy was showing you is that you go to the privacy controls, and as you go down, it gives you an opportunity, join the trusted list. So you click here to join the trusted list, and then it brings you up to here. And it wants you to explain, well, why? Who are you and why do you want to join the trusted list? And you say, well, I'm interested in this profile and I'd like to monitor it on my family activity feed. And that's usually enough of a reason. But you might also want to add how you related to this person. Right? You don't have to, but it's just a function of communicating with the person or people who are responsible for this. And if I remember right, anybody on the trusted list can add you to the trusted list. So, sometimes I've had one person reject me and another person accept me. So, you pays your money, you takes your chances, right? Yeah. So you just fill that in and then you'd hit the send request and that would go out to the people and you get to where you want to go.
Okay, so I mean that's a little bit unfortunate because part of my reason for asking that question is because I'm having trouble getting responses from the profile managers. But I guess I know there's now you guys have other ways of dealing with that, of escalating that. But I was hoping there's a way to get someone on my watch list without having to get the contact of the profile manager. But that's okay.
Okay.
No, there isn't, but there is an alternative.
Oh, okay.
And that's called the extra watch list.
Ah,
And that's part of the web browser extension.
yeah.
So Betsy, do you want me to
Yes,
show that or
please.
not? Yes.
Please.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what I'm going to do now.
Just with a caveat to everybody that this is a WikiTree browser extension feature, and it's a really great one.
So I'm going to enable the browser extension now. So I'm going to go to my settings and I'm going to turn it on, and we're at version 2319 right now. And so it started up and it brought me to the area where I can select the things that I want to use. And the extra watch list is right here. And there are options. And I don't want any sorting done on my extra watch list. So that's just fine. So now we're going to go back to Henry and I'm going to refresh the screen. And now it's going to show me the same profile. But as you can see, there's coloration and there's extra stuff on the screen, right? This is not entirely familiar. So this extra stuff, for example, well, here, let me show you the extra stuff. So I'm just going to click on this button right here, and it's going to highlight the things that the web browser extension has. So here, this bar shows me that all the things to this side of it are from the web browser extension. And these extra tabs are from the web browser extension, and this menu, and this button here. And the way that this has been formatted now has been changed, and the categories have been changed, and lots of things have been changed. You might notice here on the toolbar that there are numbers beside these items now, and that's for your quick access keys. So if you're used to working on a computer, you're used to having quick access keys for applications, right? Well, we have quick access keys in the web browser extension to let you do things. So the quick access key 5 lets you go jump straight to the comments. right? So you don't have to move your mouse there. You can just jump. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the extra watch list. And so here's my extra watch list. And you can see that I have a number of people in there, including Pierre Lemoyne d'Iberville, who was an early French explorer who basically founded Mobile, Alabama, and his brother founded New Orleans. And anyway, so he's one of the people that I keep in my list because I'm constantly going back to his profile and adding stuff. But anyway, so there's my list, and if I can add somebody, so I'll add Henry. Now we'll go back to the watch list, and there's Henry. And so now I can monitor him. And so it shows the last change that was made on Henry's profile was made today.
Yeah.
Somebody
and
made a
it
change.
was probably last night. You know how the time zones
Yeah.
play around with things, but yeah.
So Betsy made a couple of changes. So you see I jumped straight to the changes page from the watch list. And it took me straight there. Now there's our watch list. And you can import or export these watch lists. So if you want to so in my family, I have two very, very distinct branches. Okay. And then there are sub branches, right? But on my mother's side is Macedonian. And so that's this branch that just goes off into the distance and has nothing to do with my father's side, which is Canadian and Irish and Scottish. Okay. So I might want to have a different watch list for looking at my Macedonian side than when I'm looking at my Canadian side. You see?
Right.
And or also you might be poking around and say, okay, well, I want to build an extra watch list for these people. Anyway, so that's something that you can do, and you can read about that here in the WikiTree browser extension help page, of which I'm mostly the author, and it tells you all about the WikiTree browser extension. And then when you want to use the WikiTree browser extension, so you remember this, and I can also pull down this list here, but you see there's a question mark. And so if I click on the access keys question mark, it's going to jump to the WikiTree browser extension page and take me to access keys. And then when I'm here, I can actually go in and set my options. So I can control it right from within the help page. So now we'll go back to Henry and we'll close the extra watch list. And I'll just also point out that, you also have on your watch list, it also lists all of the space pages that you created, free space pages. But sometimes you want to keep track of free space pages that you aren't responsible for, but that are, they're free space pages that you're interested in monitoring. So for example, here's a bunch of my free space pages that are
Would you-
related to the
Yeah.
French and Indian Wars.
Could you show one? I just like I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to define the watch list. Could you just
Mhm.
show, in case anyone doesn't know what a free space page is? These are these
Okay.
wonderful things that you can create on WikiTree on any topic.
So I mentioned that there's my Macedonian side, and then there's my mostly Canadian side. But at a certain point, I actually have American ancestors. I have 3 American ancestors. When I say that, what I mean is there are 3 people who were born in 1775 or later in what is now the United States of America. And so I have people going back all the way to the early 1600s in Maine. And so in doing my research, I did a lot of research on the French and Indian Wars and on King Philip's War, etc. And so I have all these pages that I've created. And let's pick one. So there was a siege of Scarborough, Maine. So I've created a page that talks about that. It's a historical event, who was there, etc. That's not really the best example. Let's see one that I've really written up. Oh, the Great Swamp Fight. So this was a part of King Philip's War. And so we've written up some details about it and provided some sources about who was there and what happened. And we are going to look for the Siege of Quebec. Yeah, that's what we want. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So this one I really got into because one of my ancestors was there. Actually, more than one of, well, no, only one of my ancestors, but several relatives were there. And so I wrote this up about, who was involved and, Major General William Phipps sailed from Boston, and Frontenac was there in Quebec. And I managed to find images and to tell stories about various people who were there. If you remember earlier, I mentioned, who did I mention? Sorry. I mentioned Pierre Lemoyne d'Iberville.
Mhm.
And these are his brothers. Here, mentioned here, the Lemoyne de Maricourt and Lemoyne de Longueuil and Saint Helene. Those are brothers of Pierre. Anyway, images, it talks about a prisoner exchange that happened, and historical documents and a plaque that was raised, and then there's some research notes. And so this is where you can go off and talk about an event or a place or a family. You might talk about a whole family, right? And their history and how they settled in a particular area, whatever. So that rather than trying to load that all into one person's profile, when it really affects a whole group of people, you can just create a separate page and then go off to there.
Right. Yes. And then you can definitely link from the free space page, from the profile, and direct the reader to the free space page.
Yep.
Some other really great uses. I mean, the ways you could use this format of a free space page are almost infinite, but I've seen them used for transcriptions of wills, which would, could take up a lot of space on a profile. So you put it over on a free space page, or say the history of a house, your family house, and then you can link it to various profiles. Yes, Anne.
Patty in the chat had the question about free space.
How
Okay.
would someone go look at your free space creations?
Well,
Hmm.
so you're going to want to put a link somewhere, right? So for example, let me go back to me. And I have in my profile, I have this section where I talk about the fact that I'm interested in the early contact, and I'm interested in King Philip's War and King William's War. And then when I'm on the pages of people who were involved in that, I put in links. So in the C also, I'll say, well, if you want to read more about, Captain Waldron, or you want to read more about the incident at Machias, right? Now, see, so let me just show you. So I'm hovering over this link, and it's bringing up a preview of that space page. And this was the moment when everything's changed for me on WikiTree, because as I said, I'm a writer, and the ability to do this kind of thing in these pages just changed everything for me. Instead of looking at single pages and not really thinking about all the interlinking and how you connect all these people and all places and things, this preview ability is just part of it. And that is part of the extension preview. And there are preview pages and preview sources. So for example, I can show you, I think, preview sources, maybe not off my page, but off of, let's see, Radon Percy. Do I have? Yes. So I'll go here. And then if I hover over the little one, it just shows me what's in that reference. So I get a look ahead. Right, same here, number 6. Okay.
So, yes, very,
Okay.
very handy.
Yep.
And yeah, just WikiTree browser extension is such an elegant piece of programming. And you may quote me to Ian on that. I'm never cease to be amazed.
Bev, no, you don't. You don't need to have the browser extension in order to create the free space pages or to use them. Free space pages are there for everybody to create and to use and to share and to put links to, etc. It's just that with the browser extension, you can do things like a preview. You can hover over a link and see it, and various other things.
Right. So just here I'm on the home page under the add button. You would just go to a new free space profile. And that's how you would create it. And I also want to point out one thing that often gets overlooked, which is that you can create a new person profile who is unrelated to you. You don't necessarily have to, say you have, 50 of your family members up. You don't have to keep building from your tree. You can create a new person profile who will just start out as a leaf. If they're, I had a very dear family friend who was like a grandmother to me growing up. And so that's what I did for her, was I just did a new person profile for her and I started building out her tree. So what was a leaf started becoming a branch, and I still have to connect it, but that's the goal. So I think that often gets overlooked. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, something that you can't do on Ancestry, for example. Yeah, you have to attach them to somebody.
Right, right. Or start a new tree, which is, yeah.
Or start a new tree. Yeah.
BM Crump, what's your question?
Yes, can we see a profile page and see how it actually points to the free space page?
Yes, Murray, do you have an example of that?
Sure.
It would just be with the link.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
So let me think. So I think I want Waldron, and so I'm going to go. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to Captain Waldron, and there's Richard Waldron. So here is Richard Waldron's page. Richard Waldron was born in England, and he died in Dover, New Hampshire, and he was part of the Puritan Great Migration, and so we have some details about his life, and here's his biography, and then some details about his immigration, research notes, sources, and then as we work our way down, you will find that I've added a number of free space pages here. So how the women went from Dover is one of the pages.
Oh, Murray, I don't think you're
Yep.
screen sharing. Are you
I'm
meaning
not.
screen share?
I thought I was. It says I am.
I see it.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, I see. I have to go over to the other tab. Okay. I'm putting in the link to the WikiTree browser extension free space page in the chat because somebody was asking.
Okay.
So you see here, I've got the women went from Dover, the Treaty of Kochechko, and the deceit of Captain Waldron, and the raid on Dover. And let's just jump to the raid on Dover. So the raid on Dover was an event in which the Pennacook Indians of the local to that area attacked Dover, and so here's their story. And there's some an old woodcut that I found, and an image that was taken from an old book, and a history of the people from various sources. Now, because this is a free space page, these are it's legitimate to use these sources because they're not sources to specify when somebody was born or died or got married. They're just talking about general history. And because I'm only using usually a paragraph at a time, it's considered fair use from a copyright point of view. Also, they're very old books that I'm borrowing from. And so it covered, a fair bit of the story of the people who were involved, many of whom were my ancestors and/or relatives. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
I think that was BM Crump who had the question. Does that help?
Well, not really. I guess I
You-
want to see how it would be done from the
How you do it?
beginning.
Okay.
From the
Let me show you.
beginning.
Let me show you.
Right. So now we're in edit mode.
So here, for example, I've got a paragraph where I'm citing, her preservation in these dangerous circumstances was the more remarkable, if, as it is supposed, it was an instance of justice and gratitude in the Indians, for at that time, and then I make a reference to that space page, when the 400 were seized in 1676. So I'm pointing to a space page where I'm talking about 400 Indians were seized in 1676. And then if I go down, what I was showing you earlier was that I was had these multiple space pages that I listed. So here's one.
Okay, looking at this, I get the impression that the string that you create to do the pointing has a specific format.
Yes.
That's right.
So it's kind of
Yes.
like writing a little bit of code there.
Okay,
Right.
so let me
right.
show you that.
Okay.
So at the top, when you're on a profile page or when you're on a space page, you get these links over here.
Okay.
Okay, so if I click on that one, I'm just going to get this ID. Okay, if I click on this one, it says copy link. Okay, now that copied the link to the page and the string of text that describes that. So let me copy it again, and I'm going to go to, where can I do this?
So you would create your free space page first, then go back to the profile page and point the person to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can see here, the format is the 2 square brackets, and then space Siege of Quebec, right there. This is the name of the space page on the left-hand side. Okay, and that's what tells the browser and the system where this is, right? That's the identifier, just like your WikiTree ID is the identifier for your profile.
Yeah.
Then there's the vertical bar, and then there's how you want it to be referred to. Now, if you remember, in that one instance, I had on the left, I had the name of a space page, but on the right, I had a string of text, right? Part of a sentence.
Yeah.
See, so when you're pointing at a space page, you don't have to use the name of the space page. You can use something else to refer to it. You follow me?
Sort of. I think
Okay.
I'll have to do it to totally understand it, but
Sure, you will. You will. And but like I said, once you've got a space page, or maybe it's somebody else's space page that you're using, right? That you want to point to. I create a lot of space pages so that people can point to them. Because I found that, I mean, we're doing genealogy, and so it's important, obviously, to talk about other people, but we also want to talk about, you know, historic events. Now, so this is an example of that. Here's the Siege of Quebec. There's lots of people involved in this, and it affects the history of a lot of people. And, you know, because one of my great grandfathers was there, it motivated me to write this, you know, to write it up. And then there were a couple of other stories that are related to this that I also wrote up. See, and so I'm trying to make connections and understand how my ancestor was involved in these things. But you know, I some of it's a mystery, so I can only create the context and hope that it gets filled in more later.
Great. So let me just say, Gio, we didn't get to all of your questions, but I may have to follow up with you after via email or message to answer
Right.
all of those. Because I do want to make sure that we get to everybody who had questions. Is that okay?
Well, absolutely. Now that I know how to use Zoom, I can call into the next one.
Okay, absolutely. Yes, yes. Everybody's welcome to come to these sessions as many times as you want. And
Thank you.
if you come enough, we may make you become a host.
Thank you.
Could we answer one more of his questions?
Well, I know Bev has 3 questions.
Okay.
And we have some newer members who are asking questions. I want to make sure that we answer those.
Right. And I see a question from Linda that actually is one of
Linda.
mine too. So
Yes, yeah. So Linda, I think this was the first question you asked, how to find messages I received from other WikiTree users.
yeah.
Yeah. Linda, do you mean private messages, or can you say more about your question?
Yeah, I received a message from another WikiTree member related to my original tree that I just started,
Right.
and I couldn't deal with it at the moment, so I put it aside or whatever. And I came back. I figured I could find it in WikiTree, and I didn't even know where to look. I poked around and I couldn't find it, so I was stuck. I couldn't respond.
Yeah. Did you get an email notification about it? Do you remember?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't in WikiTree when I got it, so that's probably
Okay.
what it was. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just show you. I'll go back to my profile. So we saw this in Henry Cooper's profile. Next to the profile manager name, there's a little icon, and that would let you send a private message. And then the recipient gets an email. Now, the thing that is not maybe obvious is that you can just reply to the email and it will go back to that person, to their email. And so search your email. If you have enough in your memory, enough details to search your email, and it should be there.
Okay, so the question that the person asked isn't in WikiTree.
No, it would have been
Well,
one or two ways. They would have sent you a private message,
Okay.
or at the, oh boy, I'm just gonna hop to the bottom here. They can also leave a comment. Oh boy, sorry, lots of comments. They could leave a comment on your page, and that's another way to send someone a message. And you would have also gotten an email about that.
And is that at the bottom of the person's
Yes.
profile that they're asking about?
Yes, so you could look at the bottom of your profile. So if they wrote a comment, then you would see it on your WikiTree profile and you would get an email. But if they sent you a private message, it would just be an email. Yes, Murray.
sorry, there's a third case that you
Okay.
didn't touch on. So if it's one of your ancestors or one of your relatives and you're on the trusted list or you're the manager, if somebody puts a comment on one of those profiles and you've got your settings set up for it, you're likely to get an email too. You follow me? So if I went to your grandmother right now and added a comment,
Okay.
you'd probably get an email telling
Okay.
you that there was a comment put on that profile, and here's what the comment was. And then you'd be able to go and look at that profile and respond to that comment, but you'd also be able to respond directly to that person in most cases. Sometimes people don't have they don't want to receive, they don't want to be exposed. They want to remain private. And so they'll only do their messaging on the profiles. You will never be able to answer them directly through an email. You would always have to go back to a specific profile or to G or wherever it was they left their comment and respond there with a comment. Okay, but probably most of the time, if you get an email telling you that some comment has been made, you can respond directly to that email. Now,
Okay.
you don't necessarily want to do that. You might want to keep that public, right? So if somebody says, "Oh, it's interesting that you've annotated your great grandmother's profile and you've said this because I found this other thing," and that seems to be either in conflict or supplements what you've said, right? Now, if you respond directly to that person, then anybody else looking at that profile isn't going to see that response,
Right.
right? So you might want to do it right on the profile so that others will see it too, right?
Mhm.
See that you've answered and you've got a good answer. And that's one of the big reasons for having the comment section, is so that we can track everything, right? So you can, and it's also why you can look at the changes. So you can see what other people have done and you wonder why, and oh, who did this and when did they do it? And
So would you say related to that, would you say a best practice is to do it on the page itself?
it's mixed, so a lot of the profiles that are close to me, I don't want people making comments on them. Now they do, but I don't like it, because then there's just comments hanging there, right? And not everybody goes back and cleans them up. So, but that's me. Other people feel very strongly that, oh yeah, there should be lots of comments, and we should leave them all there. We should never delete any comments, because now we'll have a good history. So I don't know exactly what the right best practice is.
Right.
Everybody's different, and if you want to make sure that everybody knows that you've got some useful information, then yeah, you should probably leave a comment on that page. If, on the other hand, let's say you were looking at Betsy's profile and you thought Betsy must have made a mistake here, right? You might want to send her a private message and say, Betsy, I noticed that you put the date 1842. I'm sure you meant 1942, right? So you don't want to put that on her right on the
Right.
profile, because everybody's going to see that and Betsy's going to feel embarrassed.
Right.
So you got to. I mean, it's just like everything else in life. You got to play it by ear and read the room.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
good, well put. Linda, did you, by the way, tell us, when did you join WikiTree?
Within the last month.
Okay, well, welcome.
And I've only played around a little bit because I was struggling with it a little bit, and I want to do research, so I moved to doing research.
Uh-huh.
And so I haven't really gotten back to it. I played around with it for a while, started a tree and people and stuff, and just to kind of work my way around, and then I moved away because I wasn't being successful
Mhm.
as quickly as I would like to be.
Well, if I could just, for you and some of our other newer members, and then Bev, I promise I haven't forgotten you, then we'll answer your questions. I'm just gonna, this is the connection checkers game that I was talking about, where every week there's a theme. This week it's fathers, and it shows, how many degrees you are away from these 12 people. And then the game, well, all right, I'm gonna pick Teddy Roosevelt. the game is to try and confirm all the steps in your path. So, and if there's a little check mark, that means that the relationship has been marked confirmed. And they're actually, there are little radio buttons if you look closely in edit mode where you can say confirmed or uncertain, such and such. So I'm just going to pick someone, Alice Hathaway, and there's maybe Murray, you could put the WikiTree sourcer link in the chat for anyone who came late. This is really a marvelous extension. You see this little one that I have here. So I click the one, and let's say, well, I would normally search family search, but I know I'm not logged in right now. So I'm going to just search Ancestry. And it's going to take all the details that were already on Alice's profile and search Ancestry for me without having to re-enter them. And then I can go through those and validate whether I think it's worth going looking further. And I mean, those two are the most common that I go to, Ancestry, Family Search, but there's Find My Past, there's the GRO if you're doing in England, Wales research. You can see the list here, and you can configure this further. So it's an amazing tool. So is that something that you have already, Linda, or?
No, the people that I added, I'm trying to think where I did it, because one of the things I guess I know about WikiTree, I think I know about WikiTree, is that we all want always to have everything cited, sourced, right?
Yes.
So, and I kind of remember where I even put that, and I wasn't even sure if I was in the right place to put sources. Basically, I think what I need is to watch someone do a profile,
Mm-hmm.
just put a couple people in a tree, a fake tree, it could be a fake tree, and then you put the information in. Where do you put the source for that?
Sure.
How do you add people? Which I kind of figured that out, but
Yeah.
um,
Okay. Yeah, we could, I don't know if I'm not really prepared to create a profile. In the beginning of this series, I felt like I was creating profiles live almost every session, but it takes a little prep work. One other thing we can do, and then BM Crump, I also see your question, but you can, now I didn't look at this profile carefully, but yeah, is to go into an existing profile and go into edit mode, and you can learn a lot by looking at the code on an already done profile. And then you can just tiptoe out and not save anything, right? Because you're just looking around. By the way, here are the radio buttons. Like if I want to say that the father and the mother are confident, then I would do that here. In order to say a marriage is confident, you actually have to go into edit the marriage and then say it's confident there. But looking here, just a couple of main points. So these equal signs are what make biography a heading. Now we were talking about Murray's free space pages before, and I don't know if you remember that his code had 2 brackets on either end, and then it had his space, the ID for his free space page. It had the vertical line, and then this is the text that comes out that shows as the link. So that works for free space pages as well as for profiles, people profiles. The little asterisks create bullet points. And then we can see that this person has done what we call inline sources. So when you have the ref tags like this, it would it will create like a footnote citation. So, all right, I said I wasn't going to do anything, and I'm not, but I am going to show you. Say I have another marriage source for Alice. I put my cursor right here and I click C for cite. Now it's going to give me those two little bookends and I just paste in my,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
That's helpful. Thank you.
yes, sure. And then it's also very good to, you can just do preview and you see, you know, before you like commit to the changes, you see what it's going to look like. So, yes. BM Crump, what can we answer for you?
Yes, the one that's up there in the brackets
Yes.
that you clicked on to bring up the list of research sources. Is that on everybody's? Is that something that's default, or do you have to go create it?
You have to add it. It's a browser extension that you have
Okay.
and it's free, but you do have to manually add it to whatever browser you use, and then this little one will appear.
Which browser is considered the best one for working with WikiTree?
Oh, Murray, over to
Chrome,
you.
Firefox, and Safari are the best browsers to work with WikiTree.
I'm sorry,
Chrome,
Foxfire,
Firefox,
Firefox.
and Safari. Safari works on Apple equipment,
Yeah.
and Chrome and Firefox work on pretty much everything.
Okay, so
And
Chrome is acceptable.
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm on Chrome right now.
Okay.
Chrome is probably the most popular.
Right. And then if you're looking around just to try and learn some things, then at the end, well, I'm going to delete the draft because I did a little typing and return to profile without saving. So nothing, I didn't do anything. Anne, what do you,
Yes,
what are your,
when I first started WikiTree, I didn't know, like everybody else, didn't know how to do anything. Then I went to the WikiTree YouTubes, and they really helped me a lot. They showed me step by step how to do a lot of details and how to do a lot of stuff. I loved it.
yeah, if you explore the playlists, good point, Anne, the playlists on WikiTree's YouTube channel, there's a lot of learning that you can do if you're a visual person, especially.
Yeah, there's a whole library of these Q&A sessions.
Yeah. All right, Bev, I'm sorry, you've been very patient. Well, tell us your questions.
I'm getting old and I have a lot of profiles now. I keep adopting more and more. And I need to turn them over to a niece who is interested. And I'm not sure how to do that. I mean, to make her be the designated takeover when I die.
Oh, yes. Okay. Is she a WikiTree member?
No.
Okay. Well, at some point you'll want to encourage her to join WikiTree. And then I'll show you what I have on my profile. I mean, this is not a formal thing. I found this from somebody else, and I like the way she worded it, and so I used it too. So
I can see that.
you're very welcome to copy that.
Okay.
And you'll notice this is a good thing to point out. I have kind of a digital signature here. And the way that you create that, maybe Murray could put it in the chat, is when you're in edit mode, you know, I wrote all of this, or I pasted all of that, and then I put in 4 tildes. and they're the little approximate signs. So
Mhm.
Mary, is it in the chat?
I'm getting there.
Okay. And so once you save, you come out of edit mode, then that will create those 4 tildes will create this digital signature. And that's good not only for this kind of a statement, but if you're writing something in a research note on a profile and you want to, just take ownership of, this is what I found and this is what I think and next steps are, and you want to put your name on it, that's how you do it.
Okay, now I see you're saying change to open rather than to another person. Is that best? Is that the best thing to do? Just let them be open?
That was for my space pages. Let's see what. Yeah, and also my people pages. That was just my feeling. That I would turn them over to being open. At that, I have relatively few profiles that have a restriction on them, just because we try to keep things as open and collaborative on WikiTree as possible. But yes, my grandparents have some degree of restriction on them. But I'm very hopeful that by the time I pass, that actually they will be required to be open anyway. Because anyone born before 1875 or 150 years ago is required to be open as of right now. So,
And my only other questions were 2 merges that I'd like just to talk to Murray if he'd stay on just a minute or two. He
Of course,
started
Beth.
he started one for me last month, and
yeah.
it can finish, and I have so much on it. I'm so afraid to merge because I don't want to lose all that I've put in on that one.
Do you want to screen? I can make you a co-host so you can screen share.
I can just give you the numbers, and Murray he did it that way the last time. Do you want to do it as an example?
Sure.
Okay, are you ready, Murray?
I believe I am. Believe I am.
Okay,
Where are we going?
we're going to Frost, FROST 6591
Mhm.
and Frost 11028. And I think
Right.
that is mine that has the most amount of information and images that I don't want to lose.
Okay, so we did that. We did the
We
merge
s-
request
We sent a
a month
request.
ago. A month ago, so that's fine.
I know him, he's a cousin, and I know he said, go ahead and merge. He told me that, but he just didn't respond to this request.
So now we're gonna. So here to reverse the direction. Okay, so we're gonna reverse the direction. An approved merge proposal was found. So it has been approved.
Okay.
And so now let's go through the process. So we got a clear duplicate. We're going to take the earlier one as the original, as the decisive one. Mary Frost Reed Frost Freeze. Okay, so here her current last name
It's DeFreeze.
is DeFreeze. Okay, perfect. No other last name. She has a nickname of Polly. Is that right?
Not that I ever heard of. I don't want that in there. He will also be project manager with me, right? It won't switch.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the way that you wrote it out is better. Now he's got a different birth date. No, death date. And so typically when that, and now you say you're certain, he's not so certain. He
Okay.
says the 15th, you say the 18th. Usually when I see that, I think that they died on the 15th and they were buried on the 18th. But you've said that you're certain. So what do you want to do about this?
Keep mine.
Okay. Death location,
Correct.
Middlebury, Indiana. Yep. Female. The spouse,
Yep.
marriage date. Yep. Marriage and location. Yep. That's all good. There's the photo. All right. So now, and now it will have taken both the contents of both profiles. And so let me find. No. Okay, so we're going to do a confirm merge.
Can I ask a question while you're doing that merge related to the merge? When you don't take someone else's information, like that Polly, for example.
Yep.
What happens to that information, Polly?
That's a good question, right?
You know, because if you marked, I saw that there was radio buttons on the side, and one was uncertain. So if you were to accept their Polly with uncertain, how would that go? How would that merge?
It would still merge, and Polly would still show up as a nickname, and it would have the uncertain flag beside it.
Okay.
But so I'm going to get rid. Mary was born 1803 and passed away in 1895. So I'm going to get rid of that. Wait. There's no date there. Okay, so we're going to take that string. I'm just doing this because I want to clear that out of there, and I'm going to move. I'm going to do the Polly thing. So there's that sentence, 2 sentences. Now I'm going to go back down to research notes, and I'm going to say, she may have been known as
All right.
Polly
Okay. Better there than up. Yeah, that's good.
in some circles,
I think it was her daughter.
but there is no specific evidence. And there, that solves that problem, right?
That solves
And
it.
yet, you've raised a really good point, and I've encountered that too, and I've seen people come in and make changes to a profile and not record the old information. Now the thing is that even if you don't record the old information, you can go back through the changes list, right, and find things. So now I'm going to say my research notes, and I'm going to do a full save. And so now we have Mary Reed Frost DeFries, and she is combined, and second marriage and the death. I'm assuming that was all there just the way that it was before.
Okay. What about the images? Where are they? Where are they?
That image right there?
There's more.
Are there?
There were more on the bigger number, on the higher number. There were more. I can redo them, but I was just curious where they would go if they disappear.
They should have been here.
What happens when you click on the
Wait a
profile?
second.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Now, so because I'm using the browser extension, I have this image table tab. Okay. Whereas you would have
A little box.
I can't get rid of it. Oh yeah, I remember. You would have a little box down here, which I've hidden. So with the browser extension, see, there's things that I can move around and hide. So for example, I've moved the category list up to the top of the page, and I've hidden a bunch of things that are on the side here because I just don't like to see those things.
They're all there, so that's good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the images. There's 3 of them.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now, the other funny thing about it is her husband, James Stark DeFries, has 2 pages too by the same person. And I also asked her if she would merge them. It's the exact same person, but he has 2 pages with all the same James Stark DeFries.
Yeah.
So you
just do the same thing. We did this last month, right? So
Right.
just propose a merge.
I
And
did,
if she doesn't,
I did write to her, and I see she cleaned up her comments on the things that happened, you know, where they list all that happened. She cleaned up all her comments, but she didn't say, go ahead, Beverly, or I'll do it myself. So I'll wait.
is this the one?
It's the husband. I'll wait a month and do it myself if she doesn't do it. Okay.
Well, no, but she seems to have rejected it. James Arthur DeFries, is that the one that you wanted
No,
to?
James Stark DeFries, the husband of the one you just did. James Stark DeFries, him.
Oh, start. Okay.
And
Okay.
the two numbers are 3 and 114. DeFries 3 and DeFries 114.
And the same person is profile manager of both?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, sometimes,
She must have started it and then years
right,
later
right.
went back in and did. But it's funny, it didn't catch it and say there is someone already by that name. You know?
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
it's DeFries 3 and DeFries 114, 114.
Oh, I want to do it the other way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So when there are duplicates, and duplicates happen, we merge them and it always gets collapsed into the lower number ID, the first.
Okay.
Yeah,
now
and that's
it
all.
says
It's already been done.
Okay,
The
but when
merge has.
I go in and look, he's in there
Yeah.
but under both numbers. I can still, he still comes up under, but does it take a while for it to be accomplished?
No. What your misunderstanding is. So let me show you. So I'm going to go to DeFries 114. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See there?
It automatically redirects to DeFreeze 3 because the merge did happen.
So it'll save that freeze 114 number forever, or someone else will get that eventually?
Yes. No. That's saved now. And anytime anybody references DeFries 114, it'll come here instead.
Okay, fine. So
Okay.
he
And
has,
that's, let me see if I can find that actually. Oh, I know. This is DeFries 3. So down here, again, because I'm using the web browser extension. So where's Stuart DeFries?
there were a
Isn't
lot
that-
of kids and they had a lot of kids and they had a lot of
Okay.
kids. Big families.
What links here? Find what links here. There it is. See, DeFries 114
Okay.
is a redirect page. So anybody tries to go to DeFries 114, they're going to be redirected to this page instead.
Good, she did it for me then. Okay, that's good, because I wanted to add information and things to him, but I didn't want to put it on the wrong page, you know, so.
Right.
So I'll add to him now. Okay, boy, I'm questioned out.
Okay, well, good. Anyone else have something a burning question? We will be back. Oh boy, I should have looked up the date. When we will be back. The fourth Sunday of this month,
Which is the 22nd.
which is the 20th. Thank you, Murray. The 22nd at 11 in the morning Eastern time. And exact same format. And if
So, excuse me,
Yeah.
Betsy.
yes,
Do you want us to send you the questions beforehand? I wasn't sure what your process is for that.
yeah. I mean, when you can, that's very helpful.
Okay.
And I have a note, but it also we want to have the ability to be spontaneous,
Sure, sure.
So either works. And I promise to get back to you within give me the next few days to answer the rest of your questions.
Oh yeah, no, there's no urgency. You answered the most important questions now, so thank you guys.
Good, sure. And for our newer members, Philippa and Linda, I hope you don't feel knocked over by the tidal wave of WikiTree. So,
And
Just,
I
just a little bit.
tell Linda this, if she downloads that sourcer, her research will go way faster.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
were all overwhelmed in the beginning. I don't really know anyone who wasn't overwhelmed in the beginning. I felt like I had walked in to a big, like the biggest palace ever, and I was petrified to leave the entryway. I thought if I go down this hallway, I'm never going to find my way back. So I kind of like just froze for a little bit of time, and that's pretty common. But we're a very friendly community, and people are always happy to answer questions.
Hmm. Interesting.
All right.
Murray,
yes.
Yes.
did you see my comment about Urquhart?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
I just wanted you to know that I'm interested in Urquhart. I'm
Oh,
stuck in
okay.
Fredericksburg, Virginia, and can't get back to Scotland.
Okay. Okay. Gordon, what's your ID? Cipher what?
37 Seifert. Seyffert.
I
I
think we
don't
can
even
stop
know if
recording.
I have
Yes,
my Urquhart's on there.
let me just say good night and thank you, and we can have a little bit of an after party. So hope to see everybody again on June 22nd. Night.
Night.
Hey.
Good night. Thank you.
Welcome.